the honorable members of parliament, senior government officials, the board chairman and directors of the tertiary scholarship and loan services, representatives of the teacher unions, ladies and gentlemen. I also acknowledge those viewing through the live streaming. Nisa Mbulabinaka, and good morning to you all. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. And I'm delighted to be here this morning to elaborate on the awareness plan of the coalition government in the new financial year on the tertiary scholarships grants and study loan. But first and foremost, before I proceed, I wish to acknowledge and pay my respect to the Vanua of Nandunumai, to Ranganatui Suva, the traditional custodian of the land on which we stand on. The 2023-2024 national budget brought hopes, exuberance and relief to 53,725 students and their families when the TELS debt was forgiven, and by doing this, the coalition government has fulfilled one of its major promises. There are a few frequently asked questions which are associated with the above announcements, which I want to clarify today. The loan agreement for all students who have studied under various schemes of TELS, excluding in-service scheme, will be converted to bond agreement. As of 31st July 2023, all outstanding TELS debt, except for TELS in-service scheme, has been converted into bond agreements. The students will not be required to pay their TELS debt, but must demonstrate their services to the country through paid employment. The employment can be either in public service or private sector organizations. And the bond services period will be determined through the years of service studied multiplied by 1.5. These students can obtain a clearance letter from the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority if they have provided the services already. The study loan agreement of continuing and existing students have been converted to bond agreement under this amendment. The provision of loan repayment in the study loan agreement for these students is suspended by the change in the TSLS Act, and students are not required to visit TSLS or FRCS to have their agreement changed. Subsequently, graduates who study under TELS and are currently residing overseas will continue to repay their loans through their existing arrangement with the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority. If for any reason they disengage from this arrangement, the pending debts will be recovered from their respective approved guarantors. The accelerated repayment initiative will continue to apply to these graduates. ARI encourages TELS recipients to make early repayment of loans and offers heavy incentives if loans are repaid before the due dates. In addition to that, the requirement for nominated guarantors for travel clearance will remain for sponsored students who intend to travel abroad for medical, for vacation, and temporary work purposes. These students will need to obtain temporary travel clearances from FRCS after tuition and allowance statement is issued from the tertiary scheme loan schemes. Those TELS-funded graduates who are now on bond agreement and intend to migrate before the bond services period ends will be required to pay the amount owed to the government for the remaining period of bond services. And I also wish to inform everyone that TELS graduates who have fully or partially repaid their loans will not receive a reimbursement of their payments when the amendments of the Act comes into effect. For those that have partially paid their loans, the remaining amount will be converted into a bond agreement. I reiterate that the coalition government will innovate and take creative steps to develop Fiji's human capital and at the same time put in measures to mitigate loss of skilled people. The government strongly believes in data-driven and research-based public policy making. There was a national review of priority areas as to where government should be investing in scholarships during the next 3 to 5 years. much was said that removing of TELS will disadvantage access to tertiary education. But you can see that there are more scholarships and grant schemes and only one study loan for in-service schemes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that in this financial year, there are 10,920 awards for new students. This is the highest since the establishment of the TSLS in 2014, and 148 million is allocated to TSLS for all schemes to support new and continuing students. I must thank the TSLS board, CEO and staff for their steadfast role in managing expectations and politics around TELS write-off by providing continuous clarities consistent with the policies and working with the coalition government in advising solutions on forgiving of TELS debt and creating new schemes. This demonstrates resilience, demonstrates grit and tenacity of an organization. TSLS, under the 2014 Act, is mandated to administer the Fiji government scholarship, and this year, in December, the organization will mark its 10th year anniversary. The strategic plan for TSLS has 4 priority areas, namely excellence in service delivery, communication and awareness, digital transformation, and governance and risks. From the time I took up the portfolio as the Minister for Education, my message to TSLS have been to maximize awareness activities. Based on this, I'm happy to note that a revised robust awareness plan for this financial year is in place now, which has mediums, tools, levels, and platforms to widen access for information. And plans are being considered to translate Community Awareness Handbook into vernacular languages. Ladies and gentlemen, recently you may have seen public advertisements on the competency-based training grants, what is known as the micro-qualification competency-based training schemes. This is for quick fix labor solution to mitigate increasing shortages on certain industry sectors through micro-credentials for semi-skilling purposes. Minimum of 1 month course, $500 for basics of tile laying, painting, block laying, joinery, and cabinet making. 500 grants for construction industry, minimum of 1 month course, and $500 for basics of housekeeping, restaurant services, and front office operations. 1,000 grants for tourism and hospitality industry, and minimum of 1 month course, $500 for basics of panel beating and automotive painting, and 300 grants for automotive industry. Apprenticeship schemes, 400 grants, and to pay for 50% tuition fee or add $2 an hour to the apprenticeship rates. From semester 1, 2024, Masters and PhDs in research scheme, there will be 30 awards. This is an existing scheme for eligible institutions in national priority research areas of local eligible institutions and at New Zealand universities. Merit-based overseas scheme, there will be 40 awards. This scheme was previously known as the National Toppers Overseas Scheme. It is available for programs under the national priority areas which are not offered locally. For merit-based higher education, there will be about 700 awards. Level 7 local scheme. This scheme was previously known as the National Toppers Local Scheme. It is available for programs under the national priority areas which are offered by the eligible local institutions. For merit-based skills qualification scheme, there will be 200 awards. This scheme was previously known as skills qualification at the Fiji National University. It is available for programs such as Certificate 3, Certificate 4, Diploma Level 5, and diploma level 6 under the national priority areas, which are offered by the eligible local institutions. Students with special needs scheme, there will be 20 awards. This is an existing scheme since 2014 and is available for students with disabilities. In-service scheme, there's about 50 awards for employees in public sector organizations at eligible local institutions. This is only paid for tuition only. For new scholarship schemes, replacing study loan schemes, higher education from level 7 with minimum cut-off mark scheme of, with minimum cut-off mark scheme is about 2,200 awards. This scheme was previously known as the TELS, or Higher Education Program. It is available for level 7 programs offered by the eligible local institutions in the priority areas. Skills qualification based on offer letter scheme, 2,780 awards. This scheme is available for certificate level 3, level 4, or diploma level 5 or 6. In-service scheme, 1,000 on study loans. This scheme is available for public and private sector employees with tuition only. With all these schemes, a collaborative and cooperative relationship is needed with key stakeholders. That is the very reason for your presence here this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Globally, the best practices for a scholarship agency is to have a handbook for the public. I have been informed that this is the second year that TSLS is pushing the Community Awareness Handbook, which contains eligibility, selection criteria, and number of awards in each scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, since taxpayers will be paying for scholarships, I urge recipients to stay focused on studies and complete their study programs successfully. Unlike previous arrangements where students were funded for one repeat course per annum without reasons for failure being asked, going forward, a student needs to apply with evidence resulting in the failure, such as act of God situations and reasons endorsed by the university. TSLS can fund more than one unit, but based on substantiated and valid reasons. And I also hope that TSLS will also capitalize this handbook by supplying it to the various schools that are in the rural and maritime areas. The coalition government invests in youth for a greater and prosperous nations through the provisions available with TSLS. With TSLS raising awareness through activities such as this workshop, I urge you to be ambassadors of the information on scholarship to your network. And please share digital copies of the handbook through your preferred social media pages and platforms. For the tertiary training providers, it is your responsibility as well to monitor academic progress and provide intervention and learning support to those who are eligible for TSLS sponsorship, so they strive for quality. We should equally share in encouraging our students to excel academically, as the future of our country depends on them. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, it gives me great pleasure in opening the workshop and launching the Community Awareness Handbook 2024. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a successful and inspiring workshop ahead. God bless Fiji.
The Community Awareness Schemes and Study Loan to Parents, Guardians, Community